Hello friends, welcome to my channel Wisdom Zone, and as you have guessed it from the thumbnail, today we are going to discuss a very important topic. Yes, it is a very important topic indeed. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, so please subscribe to Wisdom Zone. So today we are going to talk about self-introduction and what is the perfect way to give a proper self-introduction. So whenever we go for a job interview or a presentation, the first thing we have to mention is our self-introduction, because as they say, first impression is your last impression, right? So how to give a perfect and a professional self-introduction. So today we are going to talk about that, and what are the things you should do while giving self-introduction and what are the things you should not do, so that you can create that perfect impression in front of the interviewers or in front of the audience when you're giving a presentation, right? So as you see here on your screen, factual information. So what exactly is factual information? Factual information means dealing with facts, things which are true, right? So whenever you are giving self-introduction, you have to mention things which are true and correct, not superficial, right? So we start with, first of all, name, which is very important. Most of the time people make some mistakes here. So while talking about their name, they first mention their first name and they forget to mention their last name, which is really unprofessional. So the first thing is that you have to mention your full name in a job interview or when you're giving a presentation. As you see here, it is mentioned that my name is Troy Walter. So full name. Do not mention your first name only. So next comes your age, and I have kept it optional, so you can mention that, and if you want you can just skip this part because it is not mandatory. So we can normally say I'm 25 years old if you want, or else you can skip that part, right? Next, you have to talk about the place where you live. So you can say I live in this place, your city. Here as you see it's mentioned I live in Kolkata, or you can say I reside in Kolkata, which is a better word to use. But do not say I stay in Kolkata or I stay in Delhi. So that sounds slightly unprofessional. Okay. So next comes academic qualification, which is also very important. So you have to mention your proper academic qualification in the right order. So as you see here, you start with your bachelor's degree, completed BTech in computer science from the University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, in the year 2016. So it is mandatory to mention the year of passing. Do not forget to mention the year of passing because it is very important, right? Then you can mention your higher qualification, that I completed an MBA in Information Technology from Pat Institute of Management in the year 2018. So here also you have to mention the year and you should not skip that part, right? So next comes professional qualification. So here is the catch. Most of the time I have seen as an interviewer and as well as a trainer, most of the people, what they include professional qualification in their academic qualification, which is totally incorrect, because professional qualification is something which is separate, where you go to a particular institute to acquire some skills which is going to help you to do well in your profession. So suppose you do a .NET course from any institution, so that is your professional qualification. Any technical qualification taken from any institute comes under professional qualification, not academic. So mention that in your professional qualification, not in your academic qualification. Next comes job profile. As you see here, job profile is very important. If you are an experienced person, So you have to mention your experience. You first mention your overall experience, that I have more than 3 years experience in software development, and presently I have been working as a software developer in Software Inc. Solutions since February 2020. So it is important to mention your present work status, okay? And before that, you mention your overall experience, right? And if you are a fresher, you can just say, regarding my job profile, I'm a fresher. At last comes your hobby or hobbies. So if you have multiple hobbies, you can say, my hobbies are listening to music, reading, traveling, dancing, right? But if you have one hobby, so do not say, my hobbies are reading. So in case of one hobby, you can say, my hobby is reading. This is a common mistake people make, I have seen, and being a trainer or a recruiter, I have seen this common mistake. So they sometimes get confused with singular and plural. So when you have one hobby, you say, my hobby is reading or dancing, whatever may be, but do not use hobbies are. Hobbies are used in case of plural. We have more than one hobbies. So next we are going to see probable ways of asking self-introduction. So there are different ways the interviewer may ask your self-introduction in a job interview. First, they may straight away ask you, could you tell me something about yourself, which we all know, and it is very common. Or the person can ask, could you introduce yourself? That is also one way of asking, okay? And the third, the person can ask, could you brief me about yourself? That is also quite common. And the last one, that is, could you run me through your profile or CV? This one is slightly uncommon, isn't that? Yes, some interviews do ask, could you run me through your profile or CV? So please do not get puzzled. The person is just asking you to give your self-introduction. So be confident and give your self-introduction. And this is particularly asked by recruiters or HR personnel from abroad, especially if you are facing an interview from America. They are going to ask you, could you run me through your profile? So do not get confused. The person is just asking you to give your self-introduction. Be confident and state your introduction. Up next, we are going to see things you should not do. First thing is that state your first name only while introducing. As I have already mentioned, when we are discussing factual information, it is a very common mistake. People sometimes state their first name, that my name is Rohit or my name is Jennifer. So that is a very unprofessional way to introduce, because you have to understand this is a professional field. Here you have to mention your full name, right? Your first name, your last name, or first name or surname, whatever, right? So you mention your full name and do not omit your last name or surname. Second thing, which is very important, and it is also commonly mistaken by candidates. So sometimes we see candidates, they start discussing their experience before mentioning their education qualification, which I think is slightly unprofessional, because at first you need to talk about your education, your academic qualification, your professional qualification, then you come to your experience. So most of the time this is a mistake done by the candidates. They straight away go to their experience, which I think is not at all required. Okay, so first you mention your academic qualification, then your professional qualification, then you discuss your job profile or experience, right? The third important thing which you should not do or try to avoid, that is to you should not stammer or mutter, right, while introducing, because stammering is taken as a very, I would say, that negative way. It is taken in a very negative sense, in this way that it is taken that you are slightly nervous, or you're tentative, you're not sure about yourself, or if you start muttering, the interviewer may feel that you are not at all confident to face the interview. So then how you're going to work? So do not stammer, do not mutter while introducing yourself. That is to state your family details, and do not discuss your family background or family details in your introduction. As I mentioned, in factual information we do not include family details because it is a personal matter, so it comes under personal description. When you are discussing about your family, then you can talk about your family, or if the interviewer asks you, right, that could you tell me something about your family, that time you can discuss your family details, not before that. After that, uh, sometimes it is seen that the candidates get nervous, they tend to use fillers like well, like, actually, and various other fillers. So fillers are the words we should avoid in a job interview, because if you're using fillers, then it shows that you are not confident, your communication is not precise, you are not sure what to say and what not to say. So do not use fillers. Sometimes some fillers may come, like, actually, try to minimize that as much as possible, because it is a very unprofessional way to talk, especially in a job interview, when you keep on using fillers. Okay, so try to avoid fillers as many. And then the last thing is use of abbreviations or contraction or short forms. Do not use abbreviation like I cannot, I do not. Okay, so these are totally unprofessional in a job interview, or while giving a professional interview. You should avoid abbreviation or short forms. I don't, I can't. You can say I do not, I cannot, if it is required, but these are all negative terms, but just I'm giving some examples. Or when you are talking about your institution, while naming your institution, sometimes people say that I completed BTech from JU. So what is JU? So the interviewer may not know. So you have to mention I completed BTech from Jadavpur University, or the full name of the university. No abbreviation, no contraction. Then we will see things you should do. As you see here, whenever you are given the opportunity to introduce, when the interviewer is asking you to introduce, at first greet and thank the interviewer, all the interviewers. As you see here, an example is given, so you can start like this: good morning, sir or madam, thanks for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. Then you carry on with your introduction. Okay, but do not start your introduction before greeting and thanking the interviewer. Second is, you have to speak clearly and confidently. As I already mentioned, you should not stammer, you should not mutter, and ensure that you're quite audible, your voice quality is clear, so the interviewer or the people who are listening to you, they are getting you clearly, right? The clarity is very important, and that shows your confidence. And third, but not the last important thing, is that try to make an eye contact. Try to maintain an eye contact with the interviewers while giving introduction, because it reflects confidence. While giving introduction, I have seen sometimes some candidates, they tend to look here and there, say look down, that is taken as a bad body language. So do not do that. Try to make an eye contact with the interviewer, so that you can show them that you are quite confident and you're here to introduce yourself in a confident way, right? So that's in a nutshell. I hope you found this video very helpful, and subscribe to Wisdom Zone, and thanks for watching. And please like, share and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Zone. So